Let's talk holdbacks, folks, and what you need to keep in mind when picking them. What's up, everybody? I'm Jeremy. You guys are watching Morphs. This week's video, like I said in the beginning, we are talking holdbacks. There's a lot of things you need to be keeping in mind when picking your holdbacks. So basically, we're going to go ahead, just go over a few things with that. There's a lot of things that I know I screwed up in the beginning when picking holdbacks. So we're going to kind of, that's kind of what had made me think of doing this video was, some of those choices that I didn't make early, I'm starting to feel a little bit right now. So we're going to be covering holdbacks. Before we dive into this week's video, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, drop a comment down below, and let me know which of these holdbacks that I do showcase during the video do you guys like the best. And also let me know if there's something that you think I missed that I should have threw in here. So let's go ahead and dive into this week's video, folks. Gettysburg Reptile Expo LLC is one of the premier shows of the Northeast. Located at the All-Star Event Complex in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, it's a 45,000 square foot venue that houses 270 plus tables, 125 plus breeders, with an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, geckos, amphibians, and invertebrates. Doesn't matter if you're a breeder looking for that next high-end piece to your project or a pet owner looking for your next scaly friend. Top it off, the sea serpents there to meet all of your racking and incubator needs. The next show dates are November 8th, 2025, March 28th of 2026, and July 18th of 2026. So make sure you stop out, and I will see you at Gettysburg Reptile Expo LLC. All right, first things first. New breeder and that new breeder mentality. That will almost get everybody off the start. And it's going to be the biggest thing to overcome, as well as you move on with your breeding, venture as it is. And that's honestly, that mentality is going to be the hardest thing for you to conquer and just, work through on your whole breeding venture in this hobby and industry. And by that new breeder mentality, I mean, you're going to make a lot of cool stuff. It might be high end, it might be low end, it might be in that medium spot. It all depends on where everybody's at, as far as what they're breeding and, what they're shooting for. But you're going to want to hold everything back. And I was guilty of it. I think a lot of other people, I would say probably 90%, 95% of the people that start off probably do this. And you hold back too much of the wrong things. Now when you're going about holding back your animals, okay? Yes, you want to be keeping some of the good examples of everything, but you got to make sure what you're keeping is worth it. I know some of my things that I kept back, that first year, God, I kept back like a Pastavi. There's a couple odds and ends stuff that I kept back that, in the long run, yeah, I mean, the Pastavi was meant to make bells. Funny thing is, I did make a bell by accident with that Pastavi. Did not even mean to make a bell this year with breeding her. This was her first season as well. Ended up trying to make double het Exantic clown stuff with her, and just out of stupid luck hit a bell because apparently my male pastel GHI Exantic clown had lesser in him and nobody knew it. Sometimes you get those curveballs. But anyway, I held her back for making bells, and yes, bells sell. Everybody, a lot of pet people love those all white snakes. As far as project wise, there's not a whole lot of direction to go with Pastavi. Was that a good holdback for me? Well, at the time, yes. To an extent, still kind of. As far as that actual the breeder mentality where I'm at now, where, you know, for between then and now, that was a pointless holdback, in all honesty. I've got a lot cooler stuff sitting in that rack. What would have been the better option for me to keep would have been some of the normal double-head Xanthic clowns that I made that I got rid of. Because I held back a pastel double head, I held back a spider double head. I know everybody's probably thinking, oh, spider, jeez, you picked the wrong one. It was a female, had, you know, it had a gene other than, you know, just normal. And, you know, I wanted to be able to hit some, you know, bumblebee Xanthic stuff as well. So that was the whole point of keeping her back, because the bumblebee Xanthic stuff does sell really, really good. Anyway, I held those back, got rid of all my normal double hats. And you know what? It took me I think it's like 3 years of trying to hit that Xanthic clown, because I was going head to head with just 2 females. And actually for the first 2 years, it was just 1 female, because that spider double het took so long to get ready. So I hurt myself. I should have been thinking on the long end, hey, I can use even though it's a normal, I can use that double head Xanthic clown for a lot better and cooler stuff down the road than a Pastavi. Hindsight's 2020. But anyway, so that new breeder mentality, you guys got to get out of it. I'm going to cover right now a couple of things, you know, to think about when picking those holdbacks, so that way you don't fall into that whole I'm going to keep everything mentality.
ShedTesting.com is your premier choice when it comes to shed testing. Charlie is adding new tests on a regular basis, so make sure to stop by often to see what's been added to the website. Let ShedTesting.com shave years off of your breeding plans. They're fast, accurate, and can't be beat. Don't forget to use the code CARPET15 at checkout to save 15% off of your order. ShedTesting.com. Use the best.
So the first thing is, what do you want to look for? For me, I look for quality. You know, is it a good example of that gene or that gene combo? If it's a good example, if that is what you envision when you think of that gene or that combo, that is a good start for picking as your holdback. Pattern. Is the pattern the way you want it? Pattern, you know, there's a lot to be said about pattern. You know, I know with several of the stuff that I do breed, you know, pattern carries through. If you've got something that's got a pretty cool, crazy pattern, it does have a tendency to pass on down through the babies. You know, yes, genes itself will have, you know, their invariants, but, you know, there is such a thing as line breeding, folks. It does help. It happens. It's worth it. But pattern, some stuff with the best color, again, it's that quality. You know, you want pattern and you want that color. If those are the things that, when you think of those genes and those combos, and that's exactly how you think in your mind and how you envision it, that's what you want to be holding back are those animals. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is keep the best freaking examples, folks. The next thing is, how long is that animal actually going to be useful in your rack? There's a bunch of things in my racks currently. In the beginning, I thought, yeah, she'll be useful for a while. Not really. There's a lot of stuff sitting in that rack at this point that either I held it back, and now it's at that point where it's in there until it makes a clutch, just so that way I can recoup some of the cost of.
Make sure you check out Nathan at Infinite Possible Pythons. He is your guy to go to if you want to get into the Bang project. On top of it, he's working a bunch of awesome ball python projects. Kahua geckos, Leachianus geckos, crested geckos, some scaleless corn snakes, and he is your one-stop shop for all your branding needs. So check him out.
Check out Chris Shelley over at S Reptilia if you need a high-end ball python, blood python, locality boa, or colubrid. He's also Pennsylvania's distributor of Coco to Go and the Chipper, and he can also hook you up with some rats. So make sure you guys check out Chris over at S Reptilia. What it took to raise that animal up to its adult size and get it breeding and all that stuff, it's kind of, you know, me being hard-headed. There's also some stuff in there that I've just had a hard time letting go. This is all stuff that all breeders will come across and have to deal with and go through. The thing is, you've got to make sure, you know, what you're holding back is going to be replacing those key animals. Everything you hold back, you want to make sure it's always one step up above, one step up above. You want those females to be able to stay in those racks, breeding and being useful in your projects for years. Yes, that's right, years. First of all, you figure it's going to take 2, maybe 3 years for that female to get up to size. Got to think that long game, folks. With that being said, once she is in that adult rack, she's making you clutches. You want to make sure that that female is going to be sticking around for several years to justify how long it took to get her into that point. And that's why picking your proper holdbacks is key. If you're thinking properly as a breeder, you got to be thinking that long game. Don't be thinking the short game. Think 5, 10 years down the line. Am I still going to be able to use that female at least, you know, obviously 10 years is probably a long stretch. But is that female at least going to just, you know, can I justify keeping her in those racks for several years of breeding? If the answer is yes, it's probably a good female to hold back. Males, however, I will be completely honest with you. This is the one thing that hurts me to say, and especially with the ball pythons. I'm going to do a video about this with the carpet pythons as well, because carpets are loud. It doesn't hurt me to say it with the carpets, because it's a totally different game with those. But with the balls, the males are sadly, they're kind of just renting the space. Females are taking out the mortgage. The males are just renting the space, essentially. Now, with the carpets, the males are here to stay for basically forever. So that's why I love the carpet. Part of the reason why I love the carpets. But anyway, like I said, males are basically just renting a space. They're here temporarily. I upgrade my males a lot more often than I do my females. Males are cheaper if you're purchasing stuff. So, but also, you know, you want your males to be kind of freshening up the gene pools and everything. And at least that's the way how I look at it, how I go about it. Males are here for the short run. The females are here for the long haul. You know, like I said, you know, a couple years per female until one of her babies that you held back is up to size, producing clutches, and you can then justify replacing the original female with its offspring.
Head on over to Triforce Morphs if you're looking for that missing piece in your ball python breeding project. While you're there, add a little bit of lace or citron to the mix, folks. John and Christine can also hook you up with the crested gecko, so don't forget that. Turn up the heat with Triforce Morphs. If you want to use the best reptile record-keeping and tracking software on the market today, scan the QR code or click our partnership link in the description down below for a free 30-day trial of Husbandry Pro. I promise you, you will not regret it.
Now, if you're working a new project, like Bang, you know, it's a good example for me at least. You know, Bang, I've got my Dinker project growing up, you know, Project Kyber. And I'm really excited to show you guys Kyber. I really am. I am going to be doing a video highlighting that beauty. So stay tuned. It will come across on the channel here at some point. But those kind of projects, new genes, Dinker stuff, takes up a lot of space. Also a lot of holdbacks. A lot of holdbacks. One, for instance, with the Bang stuff, I got to make sure before I release anything onto the market, I got to make sure I'm ahead. I don't want to be putting somebody else at my level. So you're having a lot of holdbacks with new genes, like Bang and stuff. I've got 4 Bang double het TSK Exantic clowns sitting in my rack. All 4 males. I don't need 4 males. But you know what? I cannot release them, because if I do, it puts someone else on my exact level, you know, where I'm at with the Exantic Bang Clown project. Can't do it. That's just not a smart move. So therefore, they're automatically, by default, holdbacks. A lot of the other cool bang stuff that I've made this year, holdbacks. Some of it's world's first stuff, never been made, the only stuff that exists in the world, which you've probably seen some of it maybe by now, or maybe right now you're getting to see some of it in the B-roll. But, those newer projects demand a lot of holdbacks to work the project properly. It's just the nature of the beast, folks. So you got to make sure that you are prepared to handle and have the space for all your holdbacks. But definitely, keep in mind, like I said, for those newer projects, make sure you are holding back the proper animals. Don't release them too soon. Now, we're going to wrap this up with the holdback or buy. Sometimes you've got to, weigh out your options. Is it worthwhile to hold a certain animal back? Or if you say sell 2 babies out of that clutch, maybe 3 babies out of the clutch, could you buy something better that fits into that project, that's the sex you need, fits in better, maybe a couple different added genes into it, maybe it's the visual, maybe it's like a visual Exantic het clown gene packed female, whatever. If you got to sell a couple of babies to purchase that animal, but it's putting you farther ahead in that project, it's moving you, it's shaving years off of your time working that project. Those are things you got to weigh out. Personally, if I can save a couple of years and, shave those years off by purchasing an animal, and, I can afford it, and, just like I said, sell 2-3 babies out of that clutch to pay for that animal, that's a no-brainer. You get that animal, get it growing up, chances are you can probably make those same babies that you just sold off again. Maybe. I mean, this year's been really hard on me on odds, so I'm not saying it's going to happen that you can do it. It's possible, chances are you could probably hit what you sold. So you could hold one back anyway, just do it the next year. And but there again, you got to weigh your options. Is it still worth holding back at that point? But always weigh your options, think, is it worth holding it back? Or is it a smarter move to just sell off the babies, buy what you need? One good thing is it gets fresh blood into your projects, so you're not, constantly having all that inbreeding, so to speak. So you gotta keep that stuff in mind. That's gonna be it, folks. Hopefully this video was helpful. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Drop a comment down below, like I said in the beginning. Is there anything I should have put in here that you think I missed, screwed up? Also, what was your favorite animal that you got to see during this video? Because there were some killer holdbacks. Some of those took years to, hit. Some of them were world's first as well. So let me know in the comments down below which was your favorite. Also, don't forget to check out the channel members. Check out the channel sponsors. Don't forget Carpet 10. 10% off of your shed test order at shedtesting.com. Warfels 60. Get that 60-day free trial of Husbandry Pro. It's the best reptile record-keeping software on the planet, in my opinion. I would be lost without Husbandry Pro, folks. So, actually, we probably need to get Robert on to the live stream. Inside the Coils, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be there. I know sometimes I've been missing, but normally, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are doing a live stream. So, don't miss it, folks. Come out, hang out with us, see what we're talking about, see if we, what guests we have on and what all is going on, in fact. So, that's going to be it, folks. I will catch you next time. Later.